right. So I just want to encourage you to be thinking about fasting, thinking about it differently. Full fasting, water fasting, and I'm going to be launching off on an extended one myself here. David's got a little bit longer. He's going to be fasting. Others have been doing some fasting as well as praying. So I'd like you to consider that. We talk about this somewhat every year, starting off the year with some prayer and fasting. We always major on prayer, secondarily fasting. But remember, this is one of the commands of Jesus to his church. When he was confronted in his earthly ministry by the religious leaders of his day, which were the disciples of the Pharisees and the scribes, as well as the disciples of John the Baptist, he was confronted, and they asked him, well, how come our disciples all fast, and your guys don't? And he says, well, as long as the bridegroom is present, speaking of himself, there's no need for anyone to seek out times of intimacy with him because he's present. And so prayer and fasting are really coupled together with times when we seek the Lord in special times. He says, but when I'm gone, then they shall fast. And so part of Jesus' command and expectation of us as disciples is that we would be able to plug into this prayer and fasting thing. We have complications in our modern lives that need to be considerations, perhaps medical. When I say medical, taking of medicines and that kind of thing. Those are all designed and prescribed to us according to a certain eating schedule and regimen and all that. So, if you're on certain medications, you always want to, have a conversation with your doctor of, what you might need to consider. If you're also going to fast, if you're dealing with certain kinds of drugs and medications, those are sometimes only taken with food, so you got to modify something there. But I wanted to encourage you to consider fasting, and one of the realities that I just wanted to say of fasting is I'd like us all to consider how we can, rather than why we can't, but begin to think how we can fast more regularly. It is a spiritual discipline. It's also a very healthy physical thing to do. And you usually only experience for hunger for the first day. And you experience what we call hunger, not because your body's actually hungry, but because you're breaking addictions and you're breaking habits. And your body says, well, wait a minute, something's different today. I'm not getting my daily dose of unnecessary food. So because you're breaking a habit, your body's squealing a little bit. But usually by day 2 and 3 and forever, however long you'd like to extend, your body just does not experience hunger until you are actually hungry again. I just read a research paper on a guy who has the record for the longest fast. And this was back in the 1970s. And the guy weighed I think 480 pounds. Are you familiar with this, Skip? Vaguely. Okay. He weighed 480 pounds, and he was under doctor's supervision and care. And he was on a full fast, nothing except coffee, black coffee, tea without anything added to it, and water. And he decided to fast until he hit his target weight of 180 some pounds. So he weighs 400 some pounds, and his target weight is 180 pounds, and he lost 300 some pounds fasting. And when he was finished, he did not need cosmetic surgery, because during the fast, your body does this thing called autophagy, where it actually eats all the unnecessary protein structures that are part of your physical house. He had no saggy skin. He was 100% healthy. And that fast took him 387 days with no food. And I think he ended the fast with a normal meal and had normal bowel function, normal function of all his organs. They were just well rested after a year of So, we think of, Jesus having the longest fast ever, 40 days. How was that ever humanly possible? But this guy was carting around enough sustenance on his carcass to last 380 some days. And never again did he weigh more than 15 pounds more than his target weight, which was a new target weight of 180. He never exceeded 195 pounds. So his body did a complete reset. It's not like The Biggest Loser, where you do a ton of exercise and calorie restriction, and they gain it all back in 3 or 4, 6 months. The fasting was a cure for what troubled him. And that's what science is finding out, and it agrees with all the things that Scripture tells us. So I want to encourage you to consider fasting, thinking about it, how you might be able to participate in that. A day, I can guarantee you, every one of us can fast an entire day without any difficulty to our human frames. Have a conversation with the doctor if you're on medications, or how you might be able to accomplish fasting. But change the conversation from why do I need to not fast to how can I fast safely with your doctor's opinion considered. Does that make sense? Let's all stand. We're going to worship the Lord.